We've had a great question on Facebook. They say, I'm loving the discussion. As an agnostic, don't you think we created the idea of a creator to alleviate our anxiety? So the fear comes first, and then we invent a God to help us deal with those stresses and worries. What would you say to that, Paul?
Yeah, it's almost like the opposite of the London bus, because the London bus one is saying creating the idea of a God makes us anxious. So let's get rid of it, and then we won't be anxious. Whereas, so that's why it's a little bit difficult from an agnostic. Well, either God makes you anxious, or God is created to take it away. So I feel like, I don't know, I just don't really particularly care about inventing the idea of a God for either purpose, either to make people stressed so I can control them, as the Marxist would say, oh, you've only invented a God so you can keep poor people in their place and make them stressed or something, or promise them pie in the sky when they die, or so. I'm like, let's just forget that. The only reason I believe in God is not for kind of philosophical reasons or sociological or psychological reasons. All of that stuff. I personally think the atheists are often quite right when they argue against that stuff. I'm like, yeah, good point. It is probably just projection and that sort of thing. Actually, it's the Apostle Peter says, we believe in God because of Jesus. Because people talk about all these gods, pie in the sky, whatever. As far as I'm aware, there's only one God shown up. And there's this guy called Jesus in the middle of history who walked around, fed all the hungry people, answered all the questions, raised the dead, controlled the weather, walked on water, told everybody exactly what was going to happen to him when he died. And it did happen. And then there were like earthquakes. And then he brought himself back from the dead, and then ascended up to the center of the universe to control it all. To me, that kind of looks like God. So I'm not especially bothered about psychological benefits or harm. It's like, believing in God makes you anxious. No, it's designed to take away that. I'm not interested in the psychological pros and cons in that sense. I'm just saying, here he is. What are we going to do about it?
I often say, I'm not that attracted to the notion that there might be some kind of a deity. Like that doesn't do anything for me. I'm a bit like the woman who's always grown up and never believed in the institution of marriage. Just thought it's a horrible idea. Marriage is just terrible. She doesn't believe in the institution of marriage. But then she grows up and maybe she meets a guy, and maybe she falls in love, and maybe she even gets married. Why did she get married? Does she now believe in marriage? Not so much. She believes in him, and he has converted her. And I think that Jesus is the guy, right? Jesus is the one who, like, whichever concept of God, maybe he's like this toothless grandfather in the sky who would just soothe you and give you Werther's originals until you like forever. Or maybe he's Thor, with a hammer, ready to, it's hammer time. I don't care about the concept of deity, but what about this guy, Jesus?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he a God you can believe in? Is he a God you can trust through the storm? And I think when you see the storm that he sailed through and came out the other side for you, you think, okay, here's a God who can be trusted.